everybody, it's Kathy Champion and you're back in my craft room. I showed this earlier today on my channel, but there was two reasons why I wanted to come back. A lot of people said they can't make this because they don't have the dies to do it with. So I wanted to come back and show you that you can do this without dies. It may look a little different than this, but you can still do this. You do need a mason jar stamp, something similar to this, and this is the Maymay Stamp Set that I use called Jar of Fun. I'm not going through the complete tutorial today. The other thing I wanted to show you is I put a lid on it because it needed something to close it up, so I made this nice little neat lid that closes up so that your candies don't fall out. So, and I'm going to show you in this video how to put the lid on, but we're going to do it in this blue. And I'm not going to use any fancy equipment. It's going to be scissors, rulers. I did use a scoreboard because I made my little box, but a scoreboard, a trimmer, scissors, and glue. Maybe some sticky tape is all you're going to need to put this together. Now what I wanted to show you, the last time when we did this, we used a little oval die in the middle to cut the window out. But on the stamp set, you have this little window image like this. So I'm going to stamp that in the middle of the front piece, the jar that I'm going to use for the front. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to cut this out just using your scissors. So I'm going to ink that up. And then I'm just going to stamp it right here in the middle of the jar, just like that. And we are going to fussy cut around that, and that way we will be able to have that little window in there and still have the same type of container that this is. Like I said, the only difference, instead of having this window, you will have this little square window with a little arched on the top of it. So, and I did move my bow on this one. After I looked at it, it was covering up that snowflake. It looked much cuter on the side. So these are just some little things that you can do as you're putting yours together and just make it completely yours. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and cut these two in two. I like to get the bulk out of my way when I'm fussy cutting. And then I'm just going to start up here, and I'm going to come in as close to that solid line as I can. Now some of you might say, well, I can't fussy cut. Fussy cutting is something that comes with practice. So the way I got better at fussy cutting was I stamped out a bunch of flowers and I just went to town cutting them out. And some of them looked good, some of them didn't. The ones I wanted to keep, I kept, and the ones that looked really bad, I tossed and started over. So that's the only way to get good at crafting or any other skill, is to keep doing it. So the more you do it, the better you'll get. I am not a professional fussy cutter. That's why I have a scan and cut. That's why I love my dies. But when push comes to shove, I can do it. And I just wanted to bring this to y'all so I could show you that you don't have to have the fancy equipment to make some of these very, very cute items that I bring to you. So do not feel like you have to have all of the fancy equipment, because you don't. You can do a lot of things just by hand, just like I'm doing here. It's a little more time consuming, but hey, that's okay. As long as you get the end result and you can still put together the project that you want to make, that's all that matters. And what do we always say? Crafting is therapy. So just consider the extra time you put in it as a little extra therapy session. I think that sounds good. So I'm just going to go around here, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to go about cutting that middle out. And you will need an X-Acto knife or a little blade or something that you can make a little X in that, just so you can get your scissors in there. I'm going to cut up on that because see, that got tight in there and it didn't want to make that turn. So by me cutting that bulk away, I was able to come up right around there and get right into those little intricate areas. And this is the hardest part of this jar, is just doing the rim where you've got those little pieces that go around. This is really a simple shape to fussy cut. And you know, if you don't want to use your good colored paper, start out with just some copy paper, or even a just a scrap of paper that you were going to throw away. Now I'm going to go around this one too, because we are going to need to cut both of them. I can remember one of the classes that I took at Made It Con last year was with Tracy Phillips, and I know a lot of you came to me through Bill and Tracy. So I was going to tell you this little story about fussy cutting. I went into her class and sat down, and she handed us some stamped out little flowers and a pair of scissors, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? Because I had always used dies, and I thought, well, this is going to be hard. And I said, I hate fussy cutting. And I said that for a long time. And then finally one day I decided that I wanted to actually conquer my fussy cutting. So, like I said, I sat down and I stamped out a bunch of images. And I needed flowers for embellishments. And this was way prior to me starting my channel. So I just decided that I was going to sit here at my craft table, and I was going to stamp and cut flowers until I got good at it. And next thing I know, I was enjoying fussy cutting, and I was like, wow. And I think what happens, the more you practice something, the better you get at it, and then the more you enjoy it, because you don't feel like that you are a failure. So I challenge you to always try anything. And even if you don't like it, if you practice and you see that you get good at it, then you'll see that, you know, all of that practice really added up. It's just like when we were kids and we rode a bicycle. We didn't get on that bicycle and take off right off the bat. We had to practice and fall sometimes. But anyway, I'm going in now with my X-Acto knife, and all I want to do is I want to make an X. So I'm going to go just really gently across the middle, just like that, till I go through, and I am through. And then I'm going to come this way, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to make that X. And now I'm going to take my fussy cutting scissors, and I'm going to go in here, and I'm just going to get some of this bulk out. I'm not going to worry about getting up close. I'm just going to get some of the bulk out of my way, so that I can get in here and actually trim it out like I want to. But just for now, we're just going to just kind of whack it out a little bit. Just like that. Now be careful if you pull those pieces, because you don't want to rip your piece. You just want to... Now once I get it kind of out like that, then I can go back in, and I'm going to cut to that corner, and over here on this corner. And I think now I'm just going to come in with my scissors, and I'm just going to cut up on that little stitch line. And this is a little different because you are cutting from the inside, but it's going to work the same way. You just follow your scissors around just like that. And you may have to practice this a little bit, you know, to get it. But like I said, use some scrap paper and you will get there. Take my word, you will get there. And don't get discouraged. Because if you don't succeed the first time, what do? We try and try again. I think these were things we learned when we were in kindergarten, first grade, depending on your age, whether you had kindergarten back in the day. We didn't. We went straight to first grade, but I guess I'm telling my age now. But first grade was a lot like kindergarten is today because we were new. And there you go. There's your window. Looks beautifully done. And we can use our acetate. Now it does look like it's a little bit right here in this corner, but I'm just going to go in and clean that little corner up. So if you see that, don't be afraid to go back in with your scissors and just clean it up a little bit. There, that looks much better. So now I'm going to clean the little scraps up off of my table, and we are ready now. You know, because this piece doesn't need to run, well, we can still run it this way. I was afraid with that acetate piece being, or the window being wide rather than oblong, this wasn't going to work, but it does. So what we're going to do now is, I think I'm going to run some sticky tape on the inside of this. Or better yet, I'm going to do it just like I did before. Here is our little platform piece that we're going to use to actually make our box that our window is going to live on. So let's go ahead and put some sticky tape down on this piece and this piece. Or better yet, let's just use some glue. Let's see. We only need it right here. Oops, I got something on my glue. Okay, we're going to put a little dab right here and a little dab right here. And I am going to bring this up just like that. And I'm going to use my board to kind of help me get that lined up so that we have a nice straight area, because we want this to be nice and flush. When I was working on getting these measurements, the first one I did was crooked, and I was like, what did I do wrong? And it was a simple case that I did not stand this up and do it so that it was actually straight. So it was kind of like that. And you can see how that would be so wrong. So it needs to be completely straight up like that. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to fold that piece in on both sides, and I'm just going to put a little art glitter glue right there on those little edges. And we are going to fold this up and in like this and in like that. And then I'm going to hold that just for a minute. And then I'm going to squeeze it, and then I'm going to come over on this side and do the same thing. I just want that glue to catch just like that. Now I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to grab my bone folder and, oops, I'm going to press this down like so, just making sure that it's getting sticking to the glue. It's sticking those two papers together, and that looks really good. So now what we need to do is put our little window, our acetate window in. So I am going to use the sticky tape just like I did before on this, because acetate and glue does not get along. And that's the only reason I'm not using the art glitter glue here. If it seeped down into your window, it would be very murky, and it just doesn't have a good look. So for that reason, I'm going in and using this two-sided sticky tape. And you can use sticky tape whatever kind you have. I know Score Tape has a really nice one. This is some that I had purchased from Maymay. I know she wasn't able to get this anymore. The last I checked, she was working on trying to find a distributor that she could get it from, and I think it might have had something to do with the tariffs in China. I'm not sure, but whatever the case, I may even look and see if I can find some of the double-sided sticky tape that I can carry in my store. So that gives me a mental note that I need to definitely look for that, because if you ever use this, you really do get used to having it to put down your items like this. And if you're doing albums or anything like that, the two-sided tape works so well. Now I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other one. I'm going to slide that in at an angle like that, and then I'm going to bring it forward and just let it stick to those sides, just like that. And now that little window's in there. Let's see. Oh, it looks like our window is going to be cut. It looks like I didn't make my box wide enough. But you know what? We're going to make this work. We'll put some snowflakes along there. and it will not make a difference. And we still have a window that will show our Hershey Kisses, so I think that's going to work just fine. Wish I had thought about that and checking that out before I put this on, but that's okay. We can still make it work. If I hadn't put the acetate on, I could have cut this out just a little bit more, but since we've glued that down, I don't know. We might still be able to do that. Let's see if I can lay this down on it right here. And looking at it, that's about where I need it to be. I'm going to draw with a pencil right here. And I know that's what needs to be cut out. You know, if all else fails, I'll just have to cut another box, but I think we might be able to get our scissors up in here enough that we can actually do this. I was going by the measurements that I did for the one with the oval cut, not thinking about this piece being a different size, so okay, that worked. Now let's cut this side out and see if we can make that work. Okay, I think that's going to work out just fine. And this is another lesson that I always try to teach y'all is don't get discouraged if you measure or you put something together and it doesn't come together exactly like you want it to. We can fix that. I'm going to do a little bit of trimming right here. And when the jar is put over top of this, we will not see those edges that look kind of undone, because that's all going to be covered up with our mason jar. So all I'm doing is angling this cuts out to give that room for the jar to have that opening. And I think we need just a tiny bit more on this side. Let's see how that works. I think that old-timey woodworkers would probably say we're whittling. We're whittling. We're whittling away at this little piece of cardstock until we get it just the size and shape that we want it. And we'll do a little bit more over here. But like I said, don't worry about the way this looks now, because I know it's not pretty, but we are being able to get up under here to get some of this bulk out so that it will not be noticeable on our window. Let's see, I think that will be enough. Okay, I think at this point what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another piece of acetate on this side, and I'm going to trim this way back before I do it. Again, like I said, I thought this would work, but it's just not lining up. That's a little bit too wide, or too wide through here for that to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over, and I am going to cut this side out just like that. I'm going to take that whole side out. And even if you want to, you can use your X-Acto knife and probably just cut that right off. I think my X-Acto knife has gotten dull on me, so let's see, we can do that with the scissors. And I'm going to come straight across here, the same place, and the same place on this side. And cut that out. I think my dog's dreaming again. Okay, now when we put that in, we don't have any problems at all with that working. So I'm still going to use a piece of acetate, and let's see if I've got another piece over here. Yep, I sure do. And we're going to trim this piece down. Let me get rid of all my little scraps that I've made a mess with. And again, I just want to encourage you that anytime that you make a mistake, we all do, I'm just not one of those people that takes my mistakes out. I've watched a lot of the YouTube crafters that never have a mistake. Their projects are always perfect. It's called editing. I do edit my videos, but I don't edit out any of the little mistakes that come about. I just leave them in. And I figure, you know, we learn from our mistakes, and I need to trim this piece of acetate down, so I'm going to bring up my trimmer, and this needs to be 2 3/4, so 2 3/4 right there by 1 7/8. So 1 7/8 puts it right there. And you know what, I might just leave it the width it is. Let's see if it'll fit. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave that to have it more stable. I don't know, it needs just a hair off of it. So maybe we'll take off just a tiny bit. Just enough so it will fit down in there. Okay, and that does work. So again, I'm going to do the same thing with this piece. I'm going to put my sticky tape on it. And it doesn't matter that there's a piece here, because we're going to cover that up with this little piece like this. So see, that's going to cover that up. In fact, I'll probably do it here. I'll probably do it right here on the back. We'll take care of that in just a moment. But for right now, I want to get the sticky tape down on this piece. Just like that. And another piece right here. And we're going to just kind of burnish that down with our bone folder to make sure we got a good adhesion. Then I'm going to use my little picky tool, and I'm going to lift this up and lift this up, and then we're going to go in the same way we did before. We are going to go in at an angle and then bring that all the way down to the bottom, just like that, and then we're going to squeeze that to the cardstock. Now yes, we do have adhesive right here, but when we set this down on top, there we go. So that will still work. We can still put this down right here. I do want to run some glue across the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put glue on the box itself. Maybe a little bit up there. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit there because I just want to give a little added assurance to that piece. And there we go. Now that's on there really good. Now I'm going to turn it over and lay it down because I want to push the glue down to that piece. just like that. So now all we need to do is, I don't even think we need to put this piece on, because we're going to glue this right to the back of this, like that. And we don't really need a piece. I think that's going to be super cute, just like this. So I am going to put glue down along these pieces. And for this one, because nobody's going to see it, I am going to put glue on the acetate. Doesn't matter, because nobody's going to see that back side. It's going to be inside. It's going to be filled with Hershey Kisses or whatever candies that you like to put in. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to smush that down. Just like that. And there is our little box, our little mason jar. And we've got our window right there where you can put see your candies through the window. And what I need to do now is put on some snowflakes. And remember I told you I was going to do some snowflakes right in here. This is a wonderful place to put our snowflakes, because that's going to help camouflage that little tiny bit of tape that's showing right there. And we're going to put one right up here. And I'm also going to show you how to make that tag without a die. I know that was something that a lot of you were concerned about. I don't have dies and I can't do this, so I'm going to show you, yes you can. You can do this. And I want to thank you for letting me know this, you know, to say I love this, but I can't do it because I don't have this and I don't have that. And next time that I show a project, I want you just to think outside the box or outside the jar and just think of how you could do it, because it doesn't have to be like mine. It doesn't matter. As long as you're being creative, you're enjoying what you're making. And especially if you're making it for someone, because, you know, we all like to get gifts. Alright, so there's our little snowflakes, and I'm not too sure, I don't want to put one more right here. Or maybe like right in there. I think we'll put it right here. And I'm just going to, oops, wasn't quite where I wanted it. There we go. And now we need to make the little tag, and also I need to show you how to make the top that's going to go on the top of it. So let's see. I thought I had me a piece. I think this piece might work for our lid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to score this. Let me measure. The length that I need this is going to be about 1 and... oops, wrong side. Nope, right side. That's going to be about 1 1/2. So this piece is 2 3/4. About 1 3/4. Let's say 1 and... that's going to work that way. And 1 1/2. So if this piece is 1/2 and 1/2, and 1 1/2 would be 2 1/2. So we're going to cut this down to 2 1/2. So we're only going to have to take just a smidgen off of it, just like that. And I am going to score this at 1/2 inch on both sides, both ends. And this one's going to be a little bit different than the other one because I'm not going to go and cut another piece of paper to get this. So we're going to do 1/2 inch here. And this is 2 1/2, so we're going to do it at 2, at 1/2, and at 2. And I'm going to put this in for a trial fit to see if that's going to work. Y'all got to watch my process on doing that. Knocked off one of my snowflakes, but that's okay. We can glue him back on. All right, what we're going to do first, yeah, that's gonna work perfect. I'm going to take some art glitter glue and put right on the back of this. Just like that. And I'm going to slide that in. And I want it to go flush with the back of that. Just like so. So I'm going to open that up. Get it right up to the top, and I'm just going to press it down. You want it to be right at the top of the box so that when you do this, you can tuck that in to hold in all your little goodies. And I am going to angle these off just a tiny bit. Let me press that down really good, make sure it's adhered, and it has. So I am going to take my little scissors, and I'm just going to go just ever so slightly on the edges, just like that. Just to give it that little bit of an angle so it looks like it will tuck in. And there you go. That goes in perfect. And now that will hold our candies in. The other one that I made, I did make it wider, and I had the pieces that would go in on both sides as well. But you can do that either way. If you want to make it a ½ inch wider, I'll put those measurements in the description on this one so that you will have those. So that worked out really well. So now we have the bow and we have our tag that we need to make. So let's do our little tag first. Now this little tag was so tiny, so we are going to cut a little piece off of here that's going to be about 3/4, maybe an inch. I'd say 7/8. Let's go 7/8. Drop your blade and cut that off. And now all we're going to do to give it that little corner edge, and this one's going to be more of an angle cut than that one. That one was rounded because it was done with a die cut. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay this up here on our mat, and I'm going to take my ruler and lay it right across that first 1/4 inch, and I'm going to use my X-Acto knife, and I'm going to cut that corner off just like that. Then I'm going to take this one over to this side, and I'm going to lay my ruler down just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cut that angle off. Now this tag looks like to me that it's just a little bit too long for our box, or our jar. So I'm going to take off maybe about a ½ inch. Yep, that looks more like it. And if you wanted to give this a little bit more dimension, you could put that in the scoreboard and score around it. We can do some stitch lines on it. There are a variety of things that we can do. So I think we're going to stitch this one. But before we do that, we need to put a hole in it because it's a tag. So I'm going to use my crocodile. Now if you do not have a crocodile, any hole punch will work. If you do not have a hole punch and you have something sharp, you can put that right in the middle. And I'll show you what you do. If you have an old mouse pad, and y'all know I use this one for stamping and making flowers and a little bit of everything, just put your piercing tool right where you want your hole and pop it in. And see, it gives me the little tiniest hole, and then I'm going to push this through, push it through. Again, I'm just showing you, you don't have to have anything fancy. And I'm pushing it all the way through, just like that, just like that. And now we have made a tag without using any fancy equipment. Now if you want to stamp this, I did do this with my stamp set, and I don't know whether you have my stamp set or not, but if you don't, you could put any tiny sticker on this. If you didn't, like if you have a pack of Christmas stickers, let me look in my Christmas stickers and see what we can find that's tiny that would work on that and would be cute. So as I'm looking, I found this little Christmas tree that would work. So I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to grab this little sticker off of here. And these have adhesive already on them. And you can put that little Christmas tree on there and still tie this on. And if you wanted to make this out of white so that it would show up better, because I did do the other ones, this one's done out of white. But you can, and if you got this excess in the back, just take your scissors and kind of trim that off, because if you try to thread this through with some ribbon or whatever you plan on using, you would run into a little bit of a problem. But now I want to show you how to do your bow. And I am going to look, I was hoping I had some white ribbon. Let me look over my other ribbon, because I'm sure I've got white ribbon. Hang on for me and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I did find some white ribbon, and this has like little eyelet loops on it. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but very pretty little ribbon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off a piece, probably longer than what I need, but I'm going to cut a piece off, and I am going to tie a ribbon or a little bow. Let's come down to this way and this way, and then I'm going to tie them together. Oops, this is so slippery, this little satin ribbon, so bear with me. So we're going to make a bunny ear and a bunny ear, and I'm going to make them bigger than what I need them so I can tie them, because we can adjust that after we get them tied. And I'm just going to tie them onto each other and through here. Sometimes my big fingers just don't like to do little intricate bows. I do much better with the bigger bows, but let's try it again. I'm going to make it much bigger this time, much bigger this way. And I am going to hold them like this, and then I'm going to loop them and tie them. If I can get that little piece to come through there, we will have a bow. There we go. Now it doesn't look like much right now, but just you got to fiddle with it. And after you fiddle with it a little bit, it'll start coming together and looking more like a real bow. And sometimes you just got to turn your loops, because they do get twisted when you're pulling them in. And then pull this down. Your tails, you always want them to be going down. And there we go. We got a cute little bow. Now I'm going to pull this side just a little bit, and then we're going to cut some of this excess off because we don't need it to be that long. And then we have our bow. Isn't that cute? So we didn't have to do a paper bow. We didn't use a die, and we still have a cute little bow. And I am going to still put it on with one of these little glue dots. And I think what I'm going to do is I am going to put this one right in the middle, since I do not have a snowflake hanging there. So we are going to put this one in the middle. And I'm just going to sit it right on top of that little dot, mashing it in there really good. And there you go. We got our bow. We've got our snowflakes, and we got our little tag made. Now the only thing we need to do is to punch a little hole right here in the top. So I'm going to go in again with this, and I am going to make a little hole, pop it through, just like that. Again, no fancy equipment, and we are going to use a piece of this ribbon, and we don't need much, we just need a small piece. And somebody told me today that I needed a dental flosser, and I don't have any, so I just went ahead and tied it on like this, and I'm going to push this through here, maybe with this little knife, maybe not. I definitely need to get something that I can thread through these little tiny holes, because sometimes these little tiny holes just do not want to go. But there we go, we got it. And I'm going to turn this tag around because I want that little Christmas tree to show. And if you don't have room for a bow, you can very easily tape this down on the inside. And I think that's what I'm going to do with this one, because it is just a tiny little piece of ribbon. So I'm going to make sure that my tag is showing the right way. And I'm going to bring this down to the inside, and right across that top right there, I am going to tape this down. And if you want to use Scotch tape, you can. You can use your sticky tape, whatever you have. Just as long as you get that to hold, that's all that matters. Now it is sticking out at the top just a little bit, so I'm going to just go in and cut that off about to there. I'm mashing it down really good. Now I am going to grab some more of our Hershey Kisses, and we're going to fill up this little box. We're going to close our lid down just like that, and we have our cute little box. We have our little homemade bow. We have a little tag on it, and our, now you know what, I just lied to y'all because these snowflakes were pre-cut. But you can buy little stickers of snowflakes. So Dollar Tree, maybe even Tuesday Morning, a lot of places you can have little snowflakes. I do apologize for that because I really wanted to show you how to make this without using any die cuts. But like I said, you can actually buy little stickers of snowflakes and that sort of thing. And you know, still be able to do this and decorate it. So that's my tutorial on this same little candy box mason jar without using the dies. And here they are side by side. Let me move my tools and everything out of the way. And here they are. And there is the one that I did with the dies and the one that I did without the dies, other than the snowflakes. And like I said, if I had thought about it, I would not have used those snowflakes. I would have went in and found some stickers or something that I could have put on there instead. But I didn't think. I do apologize for that. But I had these little snowmen that would have been cute on here. We could have put a couple of those around, and that would have been super cute. So again, don't use the snowflakes unless you get them off of a sticker sheet. So that's my tutorial, and I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in and watching me make this again. And I just want to let you know that you can always do crafts with limited amount of supplies. So until we craft again, I want to thank you so much for tuning in, for being a part of this tutorial, and I want to see y'all make this without any tools. I look forward to seeing it. So you share it over on Random Acts of Crafting by Kathy Champion on our Facebook page. If you are not a member there, go over and just request to join, and I or my other administrator, we will approve you, and then you can share your projects with us and show us what you're doing in your craft room. So again, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I want to thank you for all your love and support, and I want to encourage you to be a blessing to someone else today. Show love, show kindness, and most of all, just show your love. Let somebody know that you care about them. That's the most important thing. So thanks again so much for tuning in. I love you all, and I'll see you next time right here at Random Acts of Crafting. Bye-bye.